This is the most delicious dessert in the world. Absolutely delicious. Magandang gabi, mga kabano. Ako po si Chris Urbano. And I just said magandang gabi even though it's morning here in the Philippines because I'm talking about Filipino desserts or panghimagas. I have to first give you my very objective criteria, and that is the kahalagaan ng pagluluto, or the culinary value that that dish has. Second, of course, is how authentically Filipino is that recipe. And the third one is how good does it taste. Okay, so desserts in the Philippines, they're a really eclectic mix of things. And I think more than a lot of Filipino food categories, this really reflects a lot of the different culinary influences that the Philippines has had over the centuries. So you have things that are very kind of native and organic, using ube and corn and things that were just grown locally here in the Philippines. And of course, don't forget, the Philippines is known for its rice cakes or like cassava flour based cakes. They're everywhere when you go to a local wet market in the Philippines, and they taste absolutely delicious. Okay, so number 5 on my list of top Filipino desserts that you have to check out is brazo de Mercedes. Now this literally means the arm of Mercedes, which is a Spanish name, I believe, meaning mercies. So it's said that Brazo de Mercedes was very popular when the Spanish were building churches here in the Philippines. So the egg whites were used as sort of a binding agent for connecting bricks to each other to build a church. And if you know anything about how churches were built here in the Philippines, a lot of the materials were locally sourced things. And the mortar that they used to bind the bricks together is always improvised, being mashed up and boiled down. And one of the binding agents used was also egg whites. So there was this big abundance of egg whites being used. Then desserts sprung up around the abundance of those ingredients at the time. So you got a lot of eggs with you, so you start making something that's meringue, and egg yolks, of course, for the custard. Now, you can make this dish on your own at home, totally from scratch. You know, custard is fairly easy. It's sort of an egg yolk, milk, sugar-based kind of thing. Very easy to find recipes for that. Meringue, nothing beats doing this properly at home. You can buy store-bought meringue, but I find it's too crunchy and just kind of flakes and breaks apart. I think maybe I like this dessert because as an Australian, you know, we're big on pavlova. I love meringue, and brazo de Mercedes is effectively this flat meringue that you're gonna lay out, and then you're gonna fill that with custard and then sort of roll that up like a roll of meringue custardy goodness. And you kind of have slices of that. And the texture of the meringue, the crispy outside and the sort of soft, chewy interior, is what I really love when it comes to all things meringue. Okay, so number 4 on my list, I had to have a rice cake in there, and for me, my favorite one is biko. Biko is part of the category of what we call kakanin here in the Philippines. That's a technical term meaning a sweet rice-based dessert snack. So they're normally made in big trays and then sort of cut up into individual serving sizes, and you could often have 2 or 3 in a sitting, like of different types. So lots of different ones. They use different types of sugar or different types of fruit or different types of toppings in order to differentiate them. Now, biko, it's a really filling one because it uses rice, of course, uses brown sugar, so give it this like nice brown robust look, and then it will be topped with latik. Now latik is, you know, when you kind of cook down coconut milk, so you pour a can of coconut milk into a pan and you cook that for a while. Now after a while the coconut milk would separate into solids and oil. What happens is then those solids, the longer you cook it off, eventually they form little granules which are then fried in the coconut oil. So it's like the coconut solids fried in their own oil, and you sort of sprinkle that all over the top of your biko, and it's one of the most fantastic kakanin out there. The other cool thing about biko, it's always identifiable because they'll normally do this one on a banana leaf and then on a circular woven tray called a bilao. So you get your bilao and then you kind of put a circular piece of banana leaf that you've toasted quickly over fire to release the smell and some of the leaf oils, and that also imparts a nice fragrance and flavoring to your biko. I used to actually eat this when I was a university student for merienda, and you could buy it, like I could get 3 pieces of kanin for 20 pesos in Mandaluyong City. I would always eat the other 2 first and then the biko last because that was the most filling one, and I was totally full after that. So I really like it for that reason, as well as it's cheap, it's cost effective, and it's delicious. So number 3 on my list is ube halaya. This is iconically Filipino. I don't know any other country that actually has a straight up ube or purple yam dessert. Now, first let me tell you a bit about what ube is. It grows underground, but they can get absolutely enormous. It looks quite like dark purple on the outside. Obviously it's covered in dirt, but as you peel it and take the skin off, it reveals the most brilliant purple color you can imagine. And if you haven't seen one before, it's really great to see these down in the market. Now the name ube halaya, so ube comes from the purple yam itself, and in Tagalog, ube also is the term for purple, right? So the color purple is ube, and then the purple yam is also ube. Now, the halaya comes from the root word yalaya from Spanish, meaning jam. So it's kind of an ube jam. Basically, if you want to make ube halaya at home, it's really a combination of the ube, and then you're going to use either coconut milk or condensed milk or EVAP milk. You're going to use some sugars, and then you just kind of going to boil it and mash it into a jam or a thick paste, and that's your ube halaya. It's typically used in a dessert context, so it can be a spread or a filling for a number of different types of dessert. So you can make a cake out of it, you can make rolls out of it. This is really doing the rounds now in the United States, where ube halaya is being used as sort of a filling for donuts or cronuts. And the last thing, ube halaya is used in halo halo, either as ube flavored ice cream, which is very popular here in the Philippines, or as like a dollop of fresh ube halaya that goes on top of the halo halo. Though I find it's absolutely delicious on its own or as an accompaniment to a fruit salad, just straight up fresh chopped fruit, and then you put in a little bit of cream and a little bit of ube, and it just takes your fruit salad to the next level. Number 2 on my top 5 list is, of course, leche flan. So where does leche flan come from? Now, this is clearly Spanish-inspired dish. So leche is the word for milk, and flan is a flat-style sweet cake. One of the key differences here in the Philippines is that fresh milk is a little bit harder to come by. So Filipinos will typically use a canned or condensed milk to make their leche flan. Now, let me tell you a little bit about how to make this. Firstly, you're going to need a lot of eggs, right? A lot. And you're going to separate your egg white and your egg yolks. You want to sort of whisk that up with sugar, with your condensed milk. But if you want a more interesting leche flan, you can actually infuse your milk prior to adding it to the yolks and the sugar. And the way to do that is just to basically gently warm your milk for about 20 minutes, stirring slowly and continuously. Now, what I like to do is put in a sprig or two of rosemary and actually some calamansi rind. Vanilla pods is another really nice one to use. Now, the next thing you're going to do with your leche flan is you have a special implement that Filipinos have especially for leche flan. It's called a leñera, and it's kind of about yay big. It's a little aluminum tin, and aluminum is favored because it heats really quickly. And when you want to make your leche flan, remember you've got that caramel that goes on the top. So to make that, you're actually just putting in a little bit of sugar, and you're kind of dry firing that leñera with the sugar in it over hot flames. So once the sugar starts to liquefy under that heat, that effectively becomes your caramel. And then all you do is pour your leche flan mix in, and you steam that, or you bake it in a water bath to get it to set, and that's it. This is the most delicious dessert in the world. It's sweet and it's creamy, absolutely delicious. So number 1 on my all-time favorite Filipino desserts, I'm sure nobody is surprised to learn, it is halo halo. So firstly, what is halo halo? So it literally means mix in Tagalog, a mixture of a bunch of stuff. So you start off with sweet and preserved things. You've got preserved chickpeas or garbanzos, preserved kidney beans. And for a Western palate, that seems a little unusual, right? But it was actually a Japanese practice to preserve these types of legumes in a thick sugar syrup and make them into kind of a sweet desserts and so forth. So that's your base for halo halo. So next you have your gelatin-like substances. So in the Philippines, that's sago at gulaman. Gulaman, it's actually a seaweed byproduct, but it's the Philippines' answer to gelatin. So you put in that. I like to actually add in a bunch of other fresh fruit because there's no rules when it comes to making halo halo. You can put in your bananas. Langka is a very popular choice when it's in season. Then you can put things like sweet corn on there. You can put a little bit of cheese in there if you want, which just gives this like tiny salty little hit. And then the classic finishing to halo halo is, of course, ube halaya and leche flan, which finally both made my top 5 list today. Now all of this you then top off with shaved ice, and then you pour over condensed milk, or you can put some flavored ice cream, vanilla or ube. And when it's hot outside and you've got all these different types of sweetness there, and then you sort of stir them all together, and then you're like drinking the milk, you're slurping on the delicious chewy preserved things. So it's a myriad of textures, it's a myriad of flavors, but all kind of perfectly blended together. There's like no more fascinating dessert anywhere in the world than this. And if you haven't tried this out, stop what you're doing, stop watching YouTube, shut your laptop, go find a Filipino who sells halo halo near you and try this dessert. That's how good it is. And that's why it's number 1 on my list. Okay, so what did you think, mga kabano, of today's video? What is your all-time favorite Filipino dessert? Did I miss something out that you think should be on the list? Let me know what you thought and leave a comment below. I want to invite you to go check out our Facebook page as well. We're giving away a bunch of free stuff this year from Masflex, which is one of the kitchens here in the Philippines I'm working with. I'm Chris Urbano, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys all in my next video. Bye now.